Oh boy. Hi, I'm OB from OB Audio Reviews, and you are tuned into OB Quickies, the show where I tell you what I think about some audio gears in a snap. Today we are going to be taking a look at a very interesting IEM called the KBEar Xuanwu, and if you recognize the name Xuanwu, yes, another IEM has been released called Xuanwu, and it's from TRN. These are priced at $30, and they come with the 8mm PU plus carbon diaphragm housed in a zinc alloy shell. Now, in terms of inclusions, there's not a lot. It comes with an IEM itself, which is the Xuanwu, the cable, and some crappy pair of tips that I would never use. But what's not crappy, however, is its build. Now, my Xuanwu comes in a very nice gunmetal finish, which there is a silver version, but these are very nicely built. The zinc alloy that they used feel very solid, and they do not feel like $30 at all. The cable does admittedly feel a little bit cheap, and it does not come with a chin cinch, but this is definitely much better compared to those cheap braided cables that some IEMs use that just get stiff and is a tangle monster. The fit of the Xuanwu was also wonderful. I was a little bit scared at first because it didn't come with a driver vent in the front, but when I wore it, it was very comfortable. There was no driver flex, there was no pressure buildup, and there was no issues with long-term listening sessions. There were no pressure points. Overall, it was just a fantastically comfortable IEM, and I was so happy wearing it until I heard the sound. Now, the best way that I can describe the Xuanwu is it sounds wrong. Even though the graph shows that it is just a simple V-shaped IEM, which means it has a lot of bass, a lot of treble, not a lot of mid-range, the individual qualities of these sections kind of bring the Xuanwu down. Starting with the bass, it just sounds so loose and uncontrolled, and there's just a lot of details in instruments and vocals that are missing or sound very mushy or soft, like they lack dynamics. There is a decent amount of bass, sub-bass presentation that gives it some impactfulness, some rumble, but with the overall quality of the bass being really poor, I really don't think that it matters. At least for me, it really didn't make the IEM sound any better. The mid-range of the Xuanwu is also not any better, as there is a considerable amount of bleed coming from the mid-bass that affects the clarity, the openness, and the details in the mid-range for, say, male vocals or low-octave instruments, and it carries on over to the upper mid-range where it just scoops all the way down, which leaves all of the instruments in this region very recessed sounding, very thin and very distant, and quite veiled in some occasions, while the upper mids is very elevated, which makes female vocals, string instruments, air instruments sound very thin, harsh, and grainy. The treble region is also just not any better. There's a lot of peaks, there's a lot of dips, so uneven, it sounds so grainy. There's not a lot of micro detail retrieval. There's not a lot of airiness, as the extension is also quite poor. As you can see here, that there's like a sort of 10K dip that is very audible if you are sensitive to that region. In terms of technicalities, yeah, the Xuanwu is also very poor, as the staging is very cramped and narrow. The imaging and separation are also very poor. Layering especially, it sounds like a lot of instruments when vocals start to just meld with each other into a single note, especially when it comes to more complex tracks. And for comparisons, there's really no real comparison here, as anything in the $20 segment, name it the Warner, the Chew, the Zero, the Hola, it'll run around in circles against the Xuanwu. So in conclusion, I really think that the Xuanwu is not that good of an IEM. I was expecting a lot as it looked really good, it felt really good, but the sound left so much to be desired, and I really hope that KBEar's future releases are going to improve from this. I've seen the graph for the KBEar Pecker, and it looks really good. It looks really decent, and I'm, hoping that the implementation of the driver there, along with the overall sound, is going to be good. And I guess if you're wanting a really nicely built IEM that, fits really well, the KBEar Xuanwu is the IEM for you.